What's up, everyone, and welcome into episode number 490, where it is my honor and privilege to introduce a special guest joining in this episode, and that is former Western Michigan soccer player, but now kicker for the Las Vegas Nighthawks, Ben Derby. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm doing well, Zach. Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to have you on. And how's things been going? Because a few weeks ago, you were really on the top of the world, winning the national championship. Has it truly kind of settled in a little bit, or does it still feel pretty new?
I would say right now it still feels decently new. The game was held in a neutral site, so when we won and we brought the trophy back to Vegas, we got treated really nicely by the city. We got to meet the mayor. We got to do a lot of fun things at restaurants. So that was the whole process of it really setting in. And then you come home and you see family and you get congratulated by your family and friends. So I would say that I'm entering, it's really starting to set in, but I would still say like I wake up every morning and I think about it's fresh. It's fresh still. I can imagine the game like it was yesterday.
I was just going to say, do you remember specific moments from the game? Do you remember kind of the feeling of the clock turned zero? Like, I'm sure those things are probably going to be part of memories that you'll probably never truly forget.
Right, yeah. So the clock hitting 0, I can imagine the last play and, like, where I was standing, and we were watching it, and it was a very, offensive game, offensive shootout, high-scoring game, and the both defenses were trying really hard to get a stop. There was only 1 stop defensively in the entire game, and it was on the last play of the game that won us the game. So big shout out to our defense and all their hard work. We got some real ballers on that side of the ball, and they were able to hold it down for us in that last second when they tried the tush push. They had the ball on the 1 yard line, and they tried to tush push, and our defense was able to stop it on 4th and 1, and we stormed the field after. It was a memory. I'll have that for the rest of my life, and that was something that I'm gonna cherish, and I'm so grateful for.
So you're saying the tush push is not undefeated then?
I guess I guess so, yeah.
I love that. I love that it was the tush push that quote unquote decided the game, and that was really the only true sap. So it really seems like if you love offense, that championship game was truly the game for you. And I'm sure as a kicker, there's a little bit of excitement about that, but a little bit of nerves about just being like all offensive and no one getting any saps because you knew if you missed a kick or if you knew a certain things happened, it could really lead to a different result. But obviously, it didn't.
Right, 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 and we actually our second PAT of the game we missed.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to make contact with the ball. It came from my snapper, hit the hand of my holder, and it just landed in my lap. So I had the ball in my hands on a PAT, and I was able to make my way out of bounds. But there was a PAT late in the game that we really needed to make the difference a 3-point difference. So
Okay.
that on their last drive, if they went to kick it, it would just be to tie, not to win, and we
Okay.
were able to secure that PAT and get it in the back of the net. So, yeah, really happy about that. Really exciting game.
So basically, the big time kick ended up working out. But obviously, when the PAT got in your hands, was it almost like kind of like that meme moment? Like, what do I do with my hands? This doesn't make any any sense. Like, how do you kind of like react to that as a kicker? You're like, this isn't what's
Yeah,
supposed to be.
yeah. I looked at the ref because I didn't actually know the rules. I knew that if it got blocked or if something got cattywampus messed up on a field goal, it was a live play. The ball's live.
Okay.
But I'm very new to football, so I actually looked at the ref first. Like, is it a live play? Is the play dead? And then the other team was running at me. So I just made my way out of bounds and called it good. But yeah, it was definitely a pretty nerve-wracking experience, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll definitely talk more about the national championship. We'll talk more about Las Vegas, how you end up there. But you did say that obviously you're new to football. And I did in the introduction mention that you were a former Western Michigan soccer player. And one thing I don't think a lot of people know about Western Michigan is you guys have a history of really great soccer teams. I believe You were on 2 of them that made to the Sweet 16 in 2022 and 2023, I believe, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, how did you end up going to play soccer at Western Michigan? Did you know about the history getting there? And what was it like just playing there and playing against some of the best teams in the country when you got there and playing in the NCAA tournament as well?
Yeah, so, Western Michigan came about in high school, and then I actually ended up transferring there after 1 semester at UIndy. And
Okay.
then I finished up the rest of my years at Western, and I'm very, very grateful for the coaching staff, the people I've met. Some of those guys will be my best friends the rest of my life, and that coaching staff over there has been really helpful towards me transitioning to football. Leaving their sport, going to a new sport, they've shown me immense support. So I'm really thankful for my time at Western. I'm really thankful for everybody I met. And to play in such a high level program like Western Michigan, we're in the MAC, but we will consistently take down Big Ten, ACC, Pac 12 teams. So to go into that NCAA tournament on the road, we went to Duke, we went to Louisville, we went to Portland, we went to Lipscomb, a bunch of these top 25 ranked teams with powerhouse level funds, facilities, fields. And we were able to take them down. And it was a really great experience to be a part of such a great team. There was a lot of players on that team that got drafted. There's a lot of players on that team that are playing professionally still. So a lot of those guys are my friends, and I'm super blessed to be a part of that team and those be a part of Western for that the time I was.
What would you say is one of the more favorite memories from Western? Like, do you have like a specific like game? Is it the Sweet 16 appearance? Is it just hanging out with the guys? Like, obviously, you went through quite a bit of time at Western. You might not be able to pick one specific moment, but I'm sure
Right.
you probably had several big moments. I'm sure those upsets in the NCAA tournament probably couldn't be any better as well.
Right. I That's what I was trying to say. I have so many moments from Western. I have so many moments on and off the field with relationships that I've made, but particularly soccer memories. Yeah, those NCAA runs that you can't beat them. You know, going to Louisville, sold out stadium, and beating Louisville, going to Duke, sold out stadium, and beating Duke are memories I'll hold forever. Other memories are like the ring ceremonies, obviously. Those are fantastic memories where you're just with the guys, you're with the coaches, you're with your family, and you get to rejoice and celebrate and be grateful for the season that you had. So I could write a book on the memories I have from Western.
I feel like you could write a book, obviously, on that, but I also feel like you could write a little bit of a book on your stories so far because it's definitely interesting. Because we talked about at the beginning of playing football, and obviously, it seems like a lot of kickers kind of go through the transition from maybe being a soccer player to
Yeah.
being a kicker for high school, then finally working their way into like college. And you'll hear some stories about like people like training during college, being a
Yeah.
kicker maybe for 1 or 2 years, but you truly went through the college experience, played soccer, was a defender there. Like, how did this whole playing of football even come to be? Because some people might say, well, my athletic career is done. I had a great 4 years. I've accomplished a lot of what a majority of people don't get to accomplish. I've been part of teams in the top 16 in the country, but you're like, well, let's go play professional football now.
So yeah, the decision came about over time, and it was a gradual decision that started I got injured my last year at Western in October, which put me out for about a month or so, and then I was able to come back towards the back end of the season. And moving towards my graduation date and me finishing up my time at Western, I was seeking professional soccer opportunities. I wasn't having a lot of luck. I didn't look like I was going to get drafted, so I was going to be playing for some minor league teams around Michigan and then maybe trying to send my film, and I ended up getting a look or an opportunity overseas. And that was my best opportunity. And I sat down with my parents, and the decision then became go play soccer for like third or fourth division overseas, or go back to school and get my master's degree. And I ended up deciding on my master's degree. So then the decision was, how are we gonna pay for it? Are we gonna pay for it? And then kicking had already been in the conversation.
Okay.
So it was like, yeah, so this is now like going into like the spring. And kicking had been in the conversation in the fall. Like, is it something I could try out? I've always had a strong leg. So it was something I could try out. And we were like decided like, sure, let's go kick a couple footballs and see how it feels. And I thought I was pretty good at it, and I was like, you know what, let's see if we can get a scholarship doing this. And then I'll hang up the soccer cleats, figuratively, but start kicking and see where this goes, because the soccer road just seemed like I was going overseas,
Okay.
and I didn't see a lot of progress or options or movement forward after that. So it was like, and I was content mentally to step away and pursue something new and challenge my body, challenge my mind, everything for a new experience. So started kicking all spring, and then picked up the sticks and started kicking in the summer, and then I was able to really pursue it. Like, there was probably like a good 2 to 3 month period where I was kicking 10 to 30 to 40 balls every day. Just and then like right after I was going to a yoga class because my legs would be just so sore.
Yeah.
And I was really grinding that spring and that summer. And then I actually come around to like July. I was meant to commit to ETSU,
Okay.
which is East Tennessee State. It's an FCS school, as their kickoff specialist and their backup field goal kicker was my role. And I tried to commit, and then Western was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, you don't have any NCAA eligibility." So I Googled the top 10 NAIA football teams, and I emailed all of them. And then that's when Kaiser responded to me, who was ranked number one at the time. And then I was able to go there, and then that's where the football journey started. But it was a gradual process that started after my injury throughout the fall. Then I graduated in December. So then I went January, February, March, thinking of what I was going to do, trying to find soccer teams. And then once that fizzled out, I spent the late spring and the early summer kicking, and then got shipped to Florida for the fall, that following fall.
Hey, you know what? There could be worse places than getting shipped to Florida, right?
Yeah, I was definitely happy with the location. I can say that. The
Yeah.
weather was nice. I was right by the ocean, so it was a nice location to kick at for sure.
And also the number one team in the country for NAIA as well. That
Right.
definitely probably was fun a little bit.
I played with some high level players. There was the other kicker that I kicked with went Division 1, our running back went Division 1, we had 2 wide receivers go Division 1 that all transferred out, so we had a pretty our quarterback tried to go pro, he got some offers, he ended up coming back to the school, but he'll probably go professional somewhere. I played with some really high level players at NAIA, and I was really fortunate to be on such a good NAIA team that had good structure, good facilities, good foundation, good coaching staff. The coaching staff at Kaiser, similar to Western, has been a blessing for me to meet. They've been so supportive, welcoming me in and taking care of me. So I've been super blessed at both my colleges to have good coaching and a good setup, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that's one thing people don't talk about or maybe not know as much is there's high level football at every single level of football. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people think D1, like some people might think D2, but you see guys Division 3, you see other JUCO school athletes going to D1. Like you see guys that are contributing on your team that eventually get drafted or get opportunities. And you have
Right.
a team like Kaiser that obviously was number one in the country, won a national championship, all that kind of stuff. And having so much talent on that team is obviously probably really fun to be a part of. But I also read the Lansing State Journal article written by Graham Couch. Great article for anyone listening to this. It didn't necessarily seem 100% worked out exactly the way that you thought it was because they scored touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. Like it was great, but at
Yeah.
the same time, were you ever wondering like maybe I joined too good of a team?
Yeah, so Graham and I had that same conversation, and as blessed as I am to be have at Kaiser and have that experience and meet those people and that coaching staff, it almost would have made more sense for me to go to a worse team for more field goal opportunities. Now, coming into the sport, that I I hardly knew the rules. I didn't really watch a lot of football growing up. I didn't play any football growing up. I played lacrosse. I played lacrosse and soccer, and then a little bit of basketball in the winter, sure. But never played football, never really watched football. So that wasn't necessarily in the thought process. I was just trying to get in a good situation. But looking back, I guess there's an argument that could be made where you'd want to join a worse team with a worse offense so that you kick more.
Yeah. I was just going to say you went from one offense that scored a ton of points to another offense that scored a ton of points. So it
Yeah.
truly feels like wherever you go, offenses just start clicking, which if anyone's listening to this, sign Ben because your offense is going to be really good at that point.
Yeah, yeah, Vegas was another, I mean, tremendous offense. We had a couple we had a receiver and a running back set records. Our quarterback was the MVP of the national final, so it was another really strong offensive powerhouse type of team.
Yeah, absolutely, which is obviously great. I want to get into a little bit of you said you played lacrosse, and I've had lacrosse athletes on, and just how physical of a sport that is. Like when you joined football, obviously as a kicker, you might not be getting hit as much, but like,
Right.
did you kind of enjoy the physicality of football a little bit more than maybe your average kicker would because you had that background in lacrosse?
Yeah, yeah, I would run down on kickoff. I had a forced fumble and 2 tackles.
Love that.
So, so yeah, I definitely embraced it. I'm not a smaller kicker. I'm pretty tall, so and I wouldn't get blocked on kickoff. Nobody would ever block the kicker. So most of the time I would just have a beeline. It's a small field. And yeah, I definitely embraced it. I enjoyed it. Soccer and lacrosse. Lacrosse is definitely a physical sport where you can literally just wind up and smack someone
Yeah.
with your stick. So it's a very, very physical sport. But but yeah, I've enjoyed football so far. I've really enjoyed it. I tried to come into the sport with an open mind and understand that it was going to be a different experience. I'm probably going to play a different role on this team. I'm a kicker, so I have to understand that. And I've really enjoyed it though. Like I said, I try to have an open mind, and I've really enjoyed playing football so far for the past what now 2 seasons.
Yeah, no, which is absolutely great to hear. Hopefully, you get many more opportunities coming up. We'll talk about future plans, what you're going to do with that. But like, how difficult or like how different is kicking a football compared to a soccer ball? Some people might say, well, obviously the shape of the ball is a little bit different. Like, was that
Right.
transition a little bit easier than people would think? Because it truly depends. It seems like where like you kick the ball at. So there might be some familiarity and some similars there, but like, is it harder than people make it seem?
I think this is like one of my most common questions. Most common questions. And I think that the transition is not as hard as people make it seem, because if you're playing soccer, you're kicking something every day, and
Yeah,
you're kicking it with some sort of technique in some sort of direction, high, low, left or right, and practicing those skills directly correlate to kicking a football, in my opinion. The biggest thing that what I tell people is the follow through. So when you're kicking a soccer ball, your follow through is downfield, but at your target, right?
yeah,
And for kicking a football, it's the exact same thing. It's downfield at your target, but the direction of your leg has got to go up. It's gotta go up because you have to kick over the line, and then you can obviously you can't get it blocked. So you wanna kick a ball with a lot of height on it. In soccer, that's not necessarily your most optimal flight path. So most of the time it's on the ground or maybe like a couple inches off the ground,
yeah,
or you know what I mean? So the biggest thing with soccer to football that I noticed was my follow through. So what I do with my body after I make contact with the ball saw the biggest change because I needed to get that ball up quickly so it didn't get blocked. So you're kicking the ball lower than you would a soccer ball, and you're following through down the field and then up higher. So, but in general, when it comes to just kicking, I mean, you'll see quarterbacks warm up by like I saw a video of CJ Stroud warming up by throwing a baseball. So if you were asked a baseball player or a pitcher trying to come quarterback, he'd probably say it's similar. So I would say that it's easier than people think because you spent your whole life kicking, or at least for my life. I've spent my whole life kicking something. It was a
Yeah.
soccer ball, for instance. But switching over, I just had to my biggest thing was switching up my follow through, fixing my follow through so that I could get the right ball flight that I was looking for.
So how did you learn that? Was it watching videos? Was it having a relationship? Was it like a connection? Or was it truly just like trying to figure out on your own that you're saying that, hey, this has a better ball flight. I should do this instead of this?
Yeah, the first like 3, 4, 5, I didn't get a special teams coach. I didn't meet my special teams coach until about halfway through my Kaiser season. So
Okay.
coming up on a year. Everything before that was YouTube, the internet, looking up videos, how to kick, how to technique, all that type of stuff, and then just going out and doing it. Um, I had a couple friends who were kickers, so I reached out to them initially just for some quick advice, but everything that led up to Kaiser was self-taught, and then
Okay.
the first 2 or 3 months at Kaiser were self-taught, and then I met my now kicking coach who I've been working with, and I've seen my swing transform, and he's the one who was harping on me about follow through.
Yeah, which is obviously like when you're self-taught and then you get a coach, like there's a little bit of a difference. They're going to probably make tweaks. It's about again
Right.
that connections with them, like trying to get better. Like I'm sure that probably helped you faster in your process having a special teams coach that had experience rather than just trying to tweak your own things here and there, even though you were successful with that.
Right, right. One of the things going into college athletics that I learned as a kicker is that not all special teams coaches have kicked a football. So
Interesting.
they don't always understand, like, not all special teams coaches were kickers. Maybe they were a
Yeah.
linebacker or maybe they were a defensive back. And so you'll learn that as you go out. Like I would tell young college kickers, I learned that very quickly, and I've only kicked for 1 season in college, but just asking around with other college kickers and working with other college kickers, that's a common experience where your special teams coach was not a kicker and he doesn't know a lot. So a lot of what you're doing or what he wants you to do, you have to self-teach. So it's a very interesting role um, when you go home late at night and you're just looking up on YouTube stuff
Yeah.
stuff to help teach you. But it's an interesting role you have to take because it's a very independent role, and that was new for me.
Yeah, and that's definitely a unique perspective. That's definitely a unique experience, and because of that, you're able to meet and get friends with other kickers. And one kicker that was extremely important for a relationship and to help you get the opportunity to kick in Las
Mhm.
Vegas was Nico. Just how important was that relationship when learning how to kick? Having that relationship help lead to Las Vegas.
Yeah, Nico's one of my best friends, and he will be one of my best friends. He was the starting field goal kicker at Kaiser when I got there, and we instantly became close friends. He So when I came to Kaiser, that was his second year kicking, and he actually played soccer at Kaiser.
Oh,
And then
interesting.
he 2 years before I came, walked into the head football coach's office and was like, "Hey, do you need a kicker?" And then he did a season of soccer and kicking, and then he switched over, and that first year I came was his first year of full football.
Okay.
No more soccer. So, excuse me. We had a very relatable story. and the fact that we were both soccer players coming into the world, and we were both starting our kicking journeys at Kaiser. So that was very relatable, and we were able to get really close throughout that. Nico was the one who introduced me to my now special teams coach because it was his kicking coach um in Florida that he worked with during the off season. So I was able so throughout my relationship with Nico, he said, "Hey, you should come check this out, come train with me." I met the coach, and then that's how that relationship started. So I'm very grateful for Nico. Nico was like I'm walking into a brand new program, a brand new sport. I don't even know how to put shoulder pads on. I don't even this is my first time ever wearing a helmet in my life besides a lacrosse helmet, and, he was there just 'cause I he had been in my shoes the year before.
Yeah.
When he first started playing football and he did football and soccer at the same time, he was in my shoes, so he saw a lot of the things that I was struggling with, like putting shoulder pads on. A year ago. So it was a very beneficial relationship for the both of us because I was able to teach him a lot about kicking that I had learned, that he had learned because we were both very new. And then we both got to just improve our swing and get better together. It was a competitive environment, but it was healthy because we were such close friends.
Yeah, which I love that because there's two ways of going about it when you have the quote unquote typical starter that there. One is that they help you, two that they view you as like, hey, like you're a quote unquote competitor. And I think having a similar story and having a similar experience is not only unique, but like you said, it's helped both of you. Like it pushed both of you. Now you
Right.
obviously have the opportunity that you have. I'm sure he's doing great things as well. Like because of that unique story that both of you guys had and that connection, it truly led to other opportunities for you and hopefully Nico as well.
Yeah, he transferred to South Carolina State. He's kicking Division 1 with his
Love
last
that.
year of eligibility. So yeah, it worked out great for both of us at the end of the day.
I love that. That's awesome that he gets to experience the D1 lifestyle. I know that you almost got to experience the FCS, but turns out
Right.
Western was like, no, you can't experience that. But hey, you know
No,
what? Everything works out for its reasons, right?
right, everything happens for a reason. So we'll take it and run with it.
Exactly. So obviously, your coach now, you met with Nico, like you trained with him, all that kind of stuff. What was that conversation like and that feeling when you found out that, hey, you're going to kick professional football? Like it's not just a 1 year thing at Kaiser.
Right. So I finished up my Kaiser season and that would have been like late fall. So, and then I'm wrapping into what would have been spring, and it's my off season, and I had a pretty good season at Kaiser, and I was hitting a good ball, and I was working with my coach 4 or 5 days a week, and he's like, "Listen, you're hitting a great ball. Um, I had eligibility. Kaiser wanted me to come back.
Okay.
Um, because apparently I had a red shirt and a medical year for NAIA rules. I opted
Interesting.
not to, and I opted to try and test my luck at the pros that spring. So the coach that I work with in Florida actually hosts like a weekly or bi-weekly showcase live stream where he'll bring scouts out or he'll post a live stream for coaches to watch. And that's when I met one of my coaches. So my coach works for Cole's Kicking. Have you heard of
Okay.
Cole's Kicking?
I have. I know that they do like ranking stars for
Yeah.
high school kickers going into college.
Yeah, and then they're also just a nationwide training program for
Okay.
kickers. So my coach works in the South Florida division, but his friend from the South California division was out in Florida visiting him and came to one of the showcases. This friend is named Diego, who is now also one of my coaches and a great relationship that I've met. Diego works in the Coles kicking division in like South Cal, SoCal, and like the West Coast. But he has a good relationship with the OC at Vegas and the head coach of Vegas.
Okay.
So they had priorly, before him coming out to Florida to hang out with my coach and see the kickers, had told him, "Hey, we're looking for a kicker." And, so Diego came out, saw me kick. I talked to him that day. It was just like, it was real brief. It was real brief, and he didn't mention anything about Vegas. Just wanted to know my story. We talked about kicking. We talked about my story, talked about his story, where he kicked at, and then, that was it. Kicked the rest of the day, and then I was cooking dinner that night, and I got a phone call from Diego, and he's like, "Hey, I saw you kick today. I sent some film over to the Vegas people and the IFL." Then we had that entire conversation about, like, what is the IFL? What does this all look like? And he's like, "If you're ready, they're ready to have you." And I was like, "Well, I'm not in a position to say no,
Yeah,
because I don't have any other offers at this point. I'm in the spring season. I'm in my off season, but I'm trying to get on a team, right?" So I kinda told my parents I was finishing up my master's degree, and I told them, like, "Look, if someone calls, I'm going," because like, if the phone rings, I'm chasing it at this point,
exactly.
while I finish up my master's. So yeah, the phone rang, I talked to Diego, he broke it all down for me, and then he was like, "If you're willing, I can have the head coach call you." I was like, "Yeah, send him over," and then, like, I hung up the phone with Diego, and not 2 minutes later, the head coach calls.
It's like he was gonna call you anyways, even if you said no.
Right. Right, he calls me, then he, broke down expectations, living, everything that comes along with being in the IFL and at Vegas and all that, offered me my spot, and then the next 2 weeks, we were just figuring out classes and contracts and living and all the stuff that goes with moving across the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a surreal moment. I was cooking a steak on a stove, and Diego called and he was like, "Hey, you kicked really well. I think you have what it takes. I talked to your coach Tony in Florida. The coach in Florida, his name is Tony,
Okay.
and Tony called me as well that same night, and he was like, 'Listen, man, like Diego talked to me. He says he thinks you're the guy. I think you should do it.' And he's
I love
like,
it.
this is what we've been working towards." So I got the okay from all my coaches, got the okay from the dean of the school, my family. So packed up, went to Vegas to go kick for that season. And that was the moment. It wasn't necessarily a moment. The moment that I remember that I'll have forever is like sitting there cooking and seeing like this random California number call me. But like it was one of those calls where like it doesn't show up on your phone as like potential spam.
Okay.
And it's also coming in at like 9:30 PM or like 9 o'clock PM, right? So I'm like, There's a real person on the other side of this." Because like sometimes you might just let it go, right? You might just let it go. But I picked it up, and it was Diego, and he was happy to hear my voice, and yeah, and that's like the moment that I can pinpoint that was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm about to get offered a professional contract."
Yeah.
Being on the phone with Diego, and then the process behind it is a multi-week, 2 or
Oh, yeah.
3-week process getting everything organized. But that moment right there, standing in my kitchen in Florida, getting that phone call was like the moment where like when Diego was like, "You have what it takes. I like what I saw. I think you can go to the next level. I have this opportunity for you." That was the moment, I would say.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome moment. It's probably a moment that obviously, like you're saying that you remember. It's an overwhelming moment. It's kind of almost like a point that you're like, okay, I made the right decision. And then turns out it was more of a congratulatory stake that you end up making because you never knew that call was coming. But it's almost one of those
Right,
calls that you probably take every single call possible because I just think of like the NFL draft for a little bit and you see like videos of like teams like calling the player and they miss the call. Like, how are you
right,
not picking up every single call that comes through? Like, I'm like, if
right.
I'm getting this opportunity, I'm picking up every single call that ever comes through.
100%. And that was the type of situation I was in, like with my coach and my family. It was like if the phone rings, I'm picking it up,
Yeah.
and I gotta hear what they have to say. So I'm glad I did.
And do you think being a kicker kind of helped with that situation, and I know that might be a little bit of an interesting question because one thing about being kickers is that it's a really every kick is important. Every kick is a stressful kick. You'll be remembered for the good kicks, you'll be remembered for your misses. Like every
Right,
single kick you make is high level important. Like
right,
it could be an extra point, could be a field goal at the end of the game. You never know. Like you had
right.
to physically uproot your life in a matter of uh, not moments, but like weeks. Like, do you think
Literally.
kind of like being a kicker at Kaiser kind of like helped you prepare for that moment a little bit of just like the unknown and just like how stressful a situation could be like that?
I think I think kicking a college season at Kaiser prepared me the best it could have. But I don't think there was any preparation I could have done that would have met the expectations of what I walked into.
Okay.
And that was a very eye-opening experience for me because the reason I was there, I came in week 4. The reason I was there was because the prior kicker had missed a couple kicks, and, they were looking for someone new, and it was one of those situations where the first the first 9 or 10 weeks I was there, 1 or 2 people got cut every week. So you would get out of the game, you would come back to practice the next day, and someone would have a trash bag cleaning out their locker. It was a very cutthroat, professional environment, and that was very new to me because over half my team has wife and kids,
Yeah,
families to feed. They have houses, they have long-term living properties, you know? So, they're playing football for dinner. They're not playing football for scholarships anymore, and it's,
exactly.
you don't hear about people getting cut in college football very frequently, but
Yeah.
in professional sports, it's a weekly occurrence. So, it was, there was a saying in the locker room that would say, like, depending on how well you play is how well the quality of food your family is gonna eat.
Yeah.
And that was a very real and very eye-opening experience that, like, 1 or 2 missed kicks could be a flight home.
Yeah.
And so it's always a edge of your seat type of thing, but I embraced it, I enjoyed it, I love a challenge, I like the pressure, so, I had a lot of fun with it, but I think the preparation that Kaiser gave me was really beneficial, but I don't think I ever could have been fully prepared to walk into a professional football environment after only playing for 1 year, you know?
Yeah, because like you're saying, it's different. Like you have people getting cut. Like I'm sure that you probably knew quite a few of the players that obviously got cut. It's unfortunate, just kind of the part of the business, but also being a part of a kicker special teams is like the chemistry that you have with the long snapper, the holder. How much work goes into that chemistry that you guys put in? Obviously, like you put in a ton of time. It's truly about like milliseconds. Like if it's off, you're going to get a kicked flag. Like I don't think people
Right.
realize how like precise you have to be on every single level to get to a good kick.
100%, and that's a very great point because the kicker is about a third of the job.
Yeah.
And the kicker gets all the blame or all the glory. That's how it works.
Yep.
And but the reality is that the snapper and the holder are a very significant part. And the holder needs to have chemistry with the snapper, and the holder needs to have chemistry with the kicker because the snap and hold have to be clean, fast, and consistent, and the hold to kick have to be clean, fast, and consistent. I was beneficial about halfway through, no, about 3 or 4 weeks into my season, we actually got a new wide receiver. After we let someone go, we brought a new wide receiver in, and he played college football, and he had been a holder for 5 years.
Okay.
So I got a really nice holder upgrade about halfway through the season, and that was really beneficial for me and my kicks and my stats and everything that went with that. My relationship with him clicked really well, and that was really beneficial for me. But yeah, it's a really great point because we would spend We would spend probably the 3 days leading up to a game repping, and it would be several balls every day. Snap, hold, kick, snap, hold, kick, snap, hold, kick. We'd do all the distances. We would do rushed kicks, speed kicks, like coming from the sideline after a timeout, or if we didn't have a timeout, you got 6 seconds to get this kickoff
Yeah,
where I don't take my steps, I just eye it. So we're practicing all of that, and, a lot of what goes into the specialist jobs are the mental game as well.
exactly.
So, taking care of that as a kicker, holder, snapper is really important as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's the mental game. It's just kind of getting the reps out of the way so that when you perform it in the game, when you have guys that are 250, 300 pound, 6'5", 6'6" guys running at you, that you're able to perform at the best
Right,
of your ability.
right, 100%, and that was all part of the fun, right? Seeing these 300-pound men running at you while you're trying to put a ball through the field goal post. It's all
It,
part of the fun.
Exactly, and at the same time you're going through this, you're still trying to learn, the rules, you're still trying to learn how the game works. So for anyone that has never seen it or doesn't know very much about the indoor football league, like, how different are the rules compared to, like, college football or the NFL?
So when it comes to defensive and offensive rules, I'm not gonna be the best resource.
Okay,
But when it comes to special teams rules, I have a couple rules on kickoffs.
okay,
So on kickoffs, if I kick the ball through the uprights on a kickoff, it's called a deuce. And our team receives 2 points, and the ball starts on the opposing 5-yard line.
okay,
Now, it's a high risk, high reward type of play because if I miss the deuce, we get no points, and the ball starts on the 25-yard line, which is a half because the field is 50-yard long
yeah,
and then the end zones are 10. So it's a high risk, high reward play. And then I also have an opportunity to score a point on a kickoff. The squib kick is a very frequent technique used in the indoor football league because the field is so small, so that if you can make the ball hard to recover, or if you can make the returner muff it, your team is much more likely to get a tackle inside the 5, the 10, the 15,
yeah,
and get great good field position. However, if I squib kick it and we tackle them inside the end zone, we receive a point, and it's called a rouge.
okay.
So those are the 2 kickoff rules. Field goals are pretty much the same, except there's a drop kick in this league.
Oh,
And it's not something that's super common. I only saw 1 kicker in the league do it consistently. And but you can drop kick extra points and they'll be worth 2,
okay,
and you can drop kick field goals and they'll be worth 4.
okay.
I didn't attempt any. I have 0 experience with that, but it is kind of a cool, fun, quirky rule in the IFL.
Are you gonna start practicing that a little bit, or are you gonna kinda stick to your bread and butter a little bit and not really truly worry about it if you do go back to the IFL?
If I go back to the IFL this season, it's something I would probably fool around with at practice when I'm not doing anything or when I have some free time, of course, why not?
Yeah.
Just 'cause, if I'm able to make my way out of the IFL, I think I wouldn't need it, you know?
Yeah. No, exactly. That makes perfect sense. It's just interesting, just the way that, like, that process, just how different it is. Is that like a decision that you make, or is that like your special teams coach saying, "Hey, we want to do this," or is it more of like they trust you to make the right decision, and if you're going to make that decision, that you're going to execute it?
Right, so for the majority, they would give me the decision.
Okay.
Sometimes depending on, like, the points or the score of the game, like, a deuce or a rouge could make it a 2 possession, or it could make it, like, a 9-point game, so they
Okay.
would need a touchdown and a drop kick to tie us type of situation, so depending on the score, it makes sense to go for those points on kickoff, but majority of the time, they would tell me if we're gonna do the deuce or not, or if we're gonna do the squib, or if it's gonna be some type of onside or some type of thing, but for the most part, I get to pick the direction, and I'm just trying to if I'm squibbing it, I'm just trying to find the open space
Yeah,
because I'm trying to get the ball to make I'm trying to make the ball as hard as possible for the returner to catch on his first try. I want him to muff it, I want him to drop it, I want him to bobble it because then my team's gonna be right on top of him.
yeah, yeah.
And then if it's a deuce, there's not much direction besides, kick it through the yellow poles. So
Which is the goal, right? Like, you don't
right,
wanna miss.
yeah, that's the goal. Kick the leather ball through the yellow poles.
Exactly. I'm sure that they're pretty visible. I'm sure. I don't want to say it's easy because there's no way it's easy because that's the reason why there's the rules there. But I'm sure there's probably like, well, there's the yellow poles right there. Let's try to kick it in the middle of those.
Yeah, that's kinda how it goes. The kickoff for a deuce, depending on what stadium you're in, is either a 58-yard or a 60-yard kick.
Is it
Because
really?
some stadiums so the field's 50 yards long.
Yeah.
And then some stadiums have an end zone of 8 yards, and some stadiums have an end zone of 10. So
Okay.
depending on what stadium you're in, the field goal is obviously at the back of the end zone. So you're on the front of the kickoff line. It's a 58-yard kick or it's a 60-yard kick. And the tricky thing that I learned with the indoor league is obviously you're inside.
Yeah.
So the height that you are allowed on your kicks is a very tricky game that you have to play with. Ball flight is very tricky in the indoor league because a lot of these stadiums will have jumbotrons right in the middle of the stadium. So sometimes when you're going for that deuce or when you're trying to make it on the kickoff, you kind of have to like hook it or put it like
Interesting.
a draw or a fade on the ball in order to wrap it around the jumbotron because the jumbo will sit dead middle of the stadium and it will hang low enough to be problematic for the kickers. Excuse me.
So if you hit the jumbotron, is it just a live ball? Like what
It's
happens?
a OB,
OB.
OB, and then it'll just go on the 25-yard line.
Okay.
It'd be considered a missed kick.
Interesting. I've maybe watched indoor football once. I don't know if I've ever truly watched it. So I'm kind of learning
Right.
along with you on this. I know that obviously there's different rules, but there's just so much going on. It's truly seems like
It's
an interesting and fun watch, though.
Yeah, it's a different sport. It's a different sport. It's a really fast pace. It's really, really fast paced. Like you score a lot of touchdowns, you kick a lot of extra points, you kick a lot of kickoffs, but the ball's always flipping sides. Because within a 2 to 3 minute drive, you can be all the way down the field. It
Yeah,
doesn't take 4, 5, 6 minutes. It takes a minute or a minute and a half or 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and someone's putting points on the board
yeah,
one way or another. So the games naturally are higher scoring. Um, but yeah, kicking in the indoor league has been a lot of fun. Another like just eye-opening experience into like a whole new sport, a whole new experience. But at the end of the day, these guys just want to compete.
yeah,
And that's the common ground that you can find between all these. That's what I've noticed, like coming from two different sports, two different locker rooms, two different coaching staffs, multiple colleges. At the end of the day, guys are guys, and cool guys just want to compete. So everybody's gonna be friends. You're gonna make friends with your teammates pretty easily because at the end of the day, you just want to go out and beat the other team. So,
yeah. I,
so
I was just gonna say everyone in your locker room, no one likes to lose. Like no
right.
one wants to lose. Like I'm sure you are probably someone that doesn't like to lose in anything
No,
whatsoever. Like it's
yeah,
just that
yeah.
competitive drive of
Right,
everyone.
it could be the family board game. I gotta win.
Yeah, probably depending on the family board game. Hopefully, it's not one so that's so passionate that maybe the table gets flipped. But love that passion.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you talked about obviously like the competitive side of things, and we've talked a little bit about the passion. There has to be nothing better than playing in front of your own home fans in Las Vegas.
yeah, we play at, Lee's Family Forum, and, Vegas Nighthawks fans are man, they're awesome. They're so cool. They're great people, always happy to see you, always I love them. I love them, and I don't say that lightly. I think that they I've really been welcomed in, and I really appreciate that. I've had a lot of fans reach out. I had a fan send me fan mail.
Oh,
They
that's
sent me
awesome.
they won a game ball that got signed by the whole team, and they
Okay.
sent it to me.
Oh, that's
And they
awesome.
with a letter like, "Oh my gosh, you're one of the best kickers we've ever had," all this. So, it was I felt really welcomed at the Vegas, program, organization. The coaching staff there is amazing. They're super welcoming. First professional season, rookie kicker. So they were super cool. The team was awesome. The captain's there, the leadership there. It's all structured and done the right way. So I was super beneficial to walk into a situation like that, get welcomed in as a rookie, as a one of the youngest guys on the team, and
Yeah.
being the keeper. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Love to hear that. And also, you got to play in Las Vegas as well. Is it as cool as it seems to be able to say, "Hey, I played professional in Las Vegas," or is it a little bit more of like, you know what, it's cool for a little bit, but then it's like it kind of gets a little bit boring.
I wouldn't use the word boring,
Okay.
but it's definitely that first month, it was super cool,
Yeah.
but it
Okay.
fades, the fans at Lee's keep it electric every weekend, so but the city itself will fade, like, I'm not the first month, I was like, "Oh my gosh," it was my first time in Vegas, I was like, "I just wanna go to the Strip, I wanna see the Sphere,
Yeah.
I wanna just, like, look almost as a tourist," right?
Exactly.
Because I had never been, and, but then it fades. I learned of
Okay.
some of the more local spots with the better food and the better prices.
Yeah.
You learn you learn a little bit more when you're there for multiple months. But living in Vegas was a lot of fun. The one thing about Vegas is there was always something to do.
Yeah.
There's always something. Someone's performing, something's going on somewhere. But I would say that wasn't nearly the priority for this team, and I'm really grateful for that
Yeah.
because this team was very centralized and very focused on what they wanted to do. This team lost in the first round of playoffs at home last season.
Okay.
So this was kind of a revenge tour for them, for some of the returners that I got to help out with and be a part of. So it was all hands on deck. Everybody on the team was needed, and I thought that for the team chemistry and the team as like a collective unit worked really well throughout the season to stay healthy, to stay productive, and to stay like on top of film, on top of training, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, and then obviously at the end of it, after winning the national championship, then you got to enjoy things a little bit more and kind of go to do your celebrations. Got
Right,
your
right.
hat, got hopefully a ring coming, maybe like a trophies.
Yeah,
You got a
absolutely.
big trophy. I know you have a picture of that, but you got probably hopefully a couple things coming your way because of that.
Yeah, we got to keep our jerseys.
Did you really?
Yeah, we got
Love
to keep
that.
our jerseys, so I got my jersey, so I can give that to my mom, she can get that
Oh, that's
framed.
awesome.
So, yeah, yeah, that first week coming back after when like, taking the trophy back to Vegas, it was red carpet treatment. We ate for free, we went to all the hotels, got wined and dined, I didn't have to do any talking, I'm the kicker.
Yeah.
The
You're
like, I
like, "Let me just enjoy I will sit in
Yeah,
the back, enjoy this, and let the MVP
yeah.
quarterback take care of all the talking."
Right, that's the guys who did the talking was like the quarterback, our best receiver, and our best running back. And then the rest of us just hang out, eat good food,
Oh, yeah.
free drinks and sign some autographs. It was a really great time and lots of press conferences, lots of pictures. We had to take the trophy everywhere. But it was a different way for me to see the city because it was a lot of the city that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And I got to meet a lot of influential people in the city because like our coach says, everybody likes a winner.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
so it helped.
yeah, everyone likes a team that wins. It's about connections. It's about the people that you meet. It's about the time that you had. And obviously, this past year, you had a great time in Las Vegas. But in the Lansing State article by Graham Couch, I'll shout out one more time before we wrap up here shortly. You talked about how you didn't know how sustainable it was. What are you currently doing right now? What does the future like goals for kicking? Obviously, you don't know what's going to happen because it hasn't happened yet. But like, what's the future might hold for you?
So yeah, my plan right now is I'm in my off season for the IFL. So I'm gonna be home visiting family, much needed family time. I haven't been home in over a year. I haven't seen a lot of my family members in over a year unless they came out to a game in Vegas or Florida. So I'm taking like a week off, 2 weeks off just to see family and just soak that in and be grateful and have appreciation that I have this family that I can come home to because not every athlete has that.
Yeah.
So I just wanna show my appreciation to my family because they've supported me for now 20 plus years throughout my athletic career. So I'm home now, and then my next step will be to go back to Vegas and touch in with my coaches there, some of the Raiders staff, and then some of the Nighthawk staff.
Okay.
I was fortunate able to be in contact with the Raiders through my Nighthawks staff and build a relationship with that. So hopefully that relationship is something that can blossom into something more. But I'll be back in Vegas, and then I'll be heading down to Phoenix where I have a showcase training event. It's like a 2 week long thing, and all the IFL kickers got invited out for free through a coach in Phoenix. So I'll be down there for that, and then I head back to Florida where I'll be back with my kicking coach, and I'll be trying to get better. Is the long story short? I'll be kicking a whole lot of footballs through the yellow posts and be working on the follow through, be working on contact, be working on all the things that make a great kicker, and pursuing any opportunity that comes. I think I'm more than happy to return to Vegas for a second season, and I'd be very content and I'd be very grateful to be there. But but I have dreams and I have
Yeah.
aspirations to go bigger and farther. And my coach in Vegas knows that, and he's been super supportive of that. But but that will be I'll be back in Florida training with my coach and trying to sniff a contract or trying to go back to back in Vegas.
Awesome. I love that. Obviously, I'm a big fan of yours. I'll continue to support you. So I really do
Yeah.
hope that you get to achieve the dreams that you want to achieve. Obviously, I'm sure the NFL is that dream ultimately, and I do hope you get that opportunity. But I do hope that you at least get to kick for Las Vegas next year. Hopefully, more opportunities come either before or after that. But yeah, I
Yeah.
will be a big fan of yours. I will be cheering you on, and I really do hope that you get to live out a little bit more of your dream because I think your story is really cool. I think you're a great person. I've really enjoyed having you on, and hopefully, we can maybe do this again in the future.
Yeah, Zach, thank you. Like I told you before we started, this is my first podcast, so super excited to be on. I'm really grateful for you bringing me on and asking me to be a part of this. So, I'm super blessed for that, and I've had a lot of fun meeting you and getting to talk about our stories together. So, thank you again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you to yourself for joining. I really appreciate it. It's been a ton of fun. I will give you a little bit of your time back. I kind of feel bad I took an hour plus of your time
You're all good,
with
man.
your family. So I want to give you a little bit of time back before you have to get going. But truly, no, I do appreciate it. I do wish you the best of luck. And like I tell anyone that ever joins, if you ever want to come back on, would love to have you back on. No pressure to
Thank you.
do so, but really appreciate you joining, and it's been a lot of fun.
Heck yeah. Thank you again, Zach. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, and that is a wrap to episode number 490. Thank you again to Ben for joining, and tune in to the next episode.